Well, good evening, folks. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble Podcast, part of the Rangers Rabble Network, and we are going to take you through that absolute fun time in the Europa League that was Rangers 0, Brann 3. An absolute disgrace of a game from Rangers, and what an introduction that will be for Danny Rowe tonight. I am Alex, and I am joined by my two hosts tonight, Ian and Kenny. Ian, how are you?
Oh, I want to say that I'm feeling great and grand and all the rest of it, but I'd be absolutely lying. Another time you get excited, you think, right, here we go. This is the time for a change. Things are going to be more positive. We're all a little bit, we could win it. And then the players go, nah, not tonight, boys. So already a pretty crappy day anyway, because the weather down here has been awful. Just cherry on top. Thank you very much.
Kenny, how are you?
I was optimistic earlier on, mate, but I'm a wee bit pissed off, a wee bit, sorry to say, just because of the fact that you can't blame nobody but players, and I'm sick blaming players, especially ones at the back.
No, it was an absolute farce tonight from Rangers, and obviously we will get to your comments as they are absolutely flying in. We will get to them tonight, but where do we start with that team? There was only one player for me that gets pass marks in that whole performance, Ian, and that's Jack Butland. If it's not for Jack Butland, that is an absolute cricket score tonight. The defence, the midfield and the attack just all let him down.
Yeah, by far away, and it's mid-October, and Jack Butland is already player of the season. I don't think it's anything that anyone can do to take that away from him. It's Butland's all day long. It's not the first time this season. If he wasn't there, you're looking at 5, 6, 7s all across the board. You go back as far as that one we went out to Belgium and lost 6-0. If it wasn't for Butland, it's 14-0 because they had 14 shots on target and he saved most of them. He did all he could in that first half to try and keep that score at 0-0, and defence let him down again. The only player at this precise moment in time, the only player in that entire team that if at the end of the season came tomorrow, you'd want to retain. The only one.
It's one of those results, though, Kenny, that I think we all got a bit optimistic. The fact that Danny Rowe was coming in. A lot of people said it was going to be a free pass tonight, but you've got to ask questions on why Yusuf Trimiti got a start in this game. Done absolutely nothing for Rangers since he signed, and yet he was the target man to lead the line tonight.
First of all, you've got to take massive responsibility as an elite football player walking onto a park. I think that's first and foremost. Managers knew. Can't blame him. He's trying to find out what's the best of what again. Same old story. A year by and a year on, we're still doing it. But it's the professionalism of some of the players that can't even open their mouth and speak to one another to tell each another schoolboy football. That scan, look, you get him, I'll get him. And it's not just Tav, right, before everybody goes, but he was guilty of a lot of it as well. But for God's sake, just speak. It's no hard, Soapy. It's no hard to turn and say, Tav, I've got him, just go. Don't wait till the boy's already on the byline and putting the ball in the box, which were done quite a few times with the ball through the middle between Soapy and Tav. Then the ball gets put into the box and everybody, there's like 4 or 5 Rangers bodies in there. I'm talking about the Noah goal. And what are they? I mean, it takes a commander, a Richard Gough, a Terry Butcher, an Amoruso, a Barry Fair. Somebody shout. Like Cornelius just has to say to Raskin, leave it. We've got this. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that we have no spine. And I'm talking about backbone. I'm not talking about spine of a football team. I'm talking about folk to take charge, at least 2 or 3 professional athletes to say, I actually give a shit about this. This isn't happening. You go there, you do this. And that has to happen for every quarter for me. And it really lets me down that you can blame everybody. Blame Americans. Blame Donald Trump. Blame who you want. But they've got to be elite football players taking responsibility as soon as you put your bloody foot over that white line to shout at one another and tell each other in the dressing room, it's no personal, but I'm going to have to take the jaw off you if you're no doing. I remember, was it the cup final? Can somebody enlighten me? When Ali and Gaza, Ali had Gaza by the neck.
Mm-hmm. I was at that game.
Right, and Gazza comes out and does that. Magician. So, what is going on with footballers now that you think it's okay to ask us to pay money to sit in the stands? Never mind 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, never mind all that. I'm talking about as an athlete at that level. Where do you get the balls to go in that park and not even speak to one another? And I'm doing at Wayne's training, telling them the fundamental basics. And I get in the house and watch grown men who've come through mega years of training into elite football and can't even shout at one another to tell each another where the opposition players is. We can't pass into space. We can't find spaces to retain passes or get passes back. We can't do 1-2s. There's no imagination. The defence are lost. The midfield's no shouting at defence. Defence isn't commandeering the spine of the team. We've got a guy up front who cost us a lot of money, right? Now, that's not his fault, but what is his fault is he can't hit a barn door with both arse cheeks. He doesn't even have a clue what's going on. His positional plays well out of there. And then you get to a stage where you just want to turn the TV off. So it's that, boys. It's no Americans in 4-4-2 and Danny Rowe and Thorwell, right? And he has Thorwell. He's got a lot to blame, right? I get it. But it's the professionalism of these players, man. Come on. Do something. Say this isn't working. Grab each other on the park. Start shouting and arguing with each other on the pitch. Let the fans see that somebody at least in your team sees this is not happening the right way. But these are all just puppeteering about together and lost together and like wee sheep. And there's no shepherd. And it's annoying, man. It's annoying.
I mean, it's frustrating, to be fair, Kenny. Like we can't seem to find a way. And Ian, when you look at it, the first 15 minutes or so, Rangers actually looked like they posed a threat. Ant-Man put in an unbelievable ball. He cut it right across the whole box. And if Chimiti just sticks out a toe, he gets onto it. But by the time the ball reaches him, he's still jogging to get into position. Surely you can see Ant-Man's getting ready to whip that in and just move your arse, get in. And then again, Raskin puts in a great ball for him and he just heads it straight to the goalkeeper. He's just got absolutely zero confidence right now. And I know I'm going on about Chimiti, and I've seen the comments. Every player was rotten today, and we've all talked about numerous players. Chimiti just had a big impact today that he did nothing, and he was noticed on the stage because the amount of chances he missed, Ian, were just unbelievable.
Well, we've lamented all season that we're not creating enough for our strikers. Tonight, they had enough chances to score at least 2 goals, and he's done nothing with it.
Yep.
So they've made chances for him tonight, so there's no hiding place for him. The header, I don't know what he's thinking. He just sort of heads it down. Head it back across where the keeper's coming from. He's wrong-footed. He's not getting to it and keep it high. He's not gonna get to that ball. And then to not even realise that Ant-Man is free, clear, and in space and bust your ass to get into the box and sit on the shoulder of the last defender and then make your move. He should be challenging because the defender actually doesn't know who's around him. You see that by the way he clears the ball. He puts it out for the corner. If he actually took the time to stop and look, he realises there's nobody even near him. He could probably have taken the touch and cleared it. Chimiti should be in there with him, challenging for that ball at the very least, if not peeling off his shoulder and tapping it in. You mentioned him in the watch-along because somebody brought it up, but Morelos would have been all over that. Absolutely all over that. Morelos in Europe, different animal. He'd have been all over that. We've spent £8 million, and someone else made a point on X. I saw that we laughed at them because they spent 11 million quid on 9 million quid on Ida. I'd have Ida every single day of the week over Chimiti. I tell you that right now.
Just shows the absolute drop what we're trying to play here. What I'm going to do before we go on, there's a few super chats that have come in. So Spicy Haggis has asked Estelle will pick the team, asking for a mate. Kenny, he's got a point when we talk about it because some of the players that you look at just shouldn't have been getting a start. Rothwell again looked lost. Raskin looked lost in that midfield. Chimiti didn't look good up top. Tavs just let the game go by him. Are these just players that are there because we have nobody else to get in? Is this more of a we're just trying to make the best of a bad bunch because we've actually got nobody else can cover him?
Yeah, I think we can give him a pass on as they will Geppetto. Do you know what I mean? At the moment, because he's just in. I think in the short space of time, he's had to do his due diligence on the players and what's the best formation. He would have watched videos of maybe who's more reliable than others, and he's maybe tried to pick a team on, no seeing them face value quickly or a lot yet. So no, I don't think the Puppet Master's doing much with it at the minute. Don't get me wrong, if it keeps continuing, we're struggling for strikers, man. You know what I mean? I honestly thought Majowski would have been hit the ground running because of the Scottish League, but I think we can't just keep saying it's lack of confidence all the time with these players. Because you look at the bench and who else would you have brought on? Don't be wrong, I'd have took a stab at wee Curtis, man, 100%. And as somebody said in the page, if that's not working, and as you said rightly, Alex, like a few of them looked low, including Raskin, put Rice on, man. Do you know, try something completely unorthodox, but I'm not going to blame the manager for that because, again, he's still trying to find out who's... Yeah, exactly, Jackson Boy, exactly that. Throw the dice against the wall when it gets to the 2-0 and you know it could be like 10 and say, right, the midfield's no doing it. Let's get the young Scottish boys on. Let's get a bit of heart in the team. Let's see if they can pull them out. But it didn't happen. I'm hoping in the future that does happen because until January he's got the players he's got. That's it. I'm going to say it. I said it on the page, but already January is looking extremely important for a few reasons. One, it could hang Thelwell because if he is getting a say in the players and some other chirmitties come in, we will know inadvertently that Danny Rowe is more of a listener than a teller. But also, what's the scouting doing and what's Danny seeing and what kind of players is he looking at and what does he bring? And unfortunately, again, what I said in the page, if you're mismanaged for that many weeks and months, it's going to take a long time to sort that out and get in their heads the right way. I mean, the philosophy of Russell Martin was mind-boggling to listen to his interviews, man. It was like, honestly, I felt as if I was listening to Charlie Manson, man. It was trying to get in your brain. So I think the players is going to take a long time to get out of that and get into the way of the philosophy of this manager. But the players, I'm going to keep them back. The players need to be better. You're a grown man. Have some heart. Have some intelligence. Get back to schoolboy football. Get back to the way you learned about simply scanning, talking, and use take over the game. Know what the manager told you. Use as adults go and start saying to one another in wee twos and ones, get a fucking grip here. Come on. Let you go out there. Listen to me. It doesn't happen at Rangers. It's not happened at Rangers for a long time. Again, we need commanders and we haven't got commanders or shepherds. We've just got sheep.
I mean, it's so true. No, Ian, it is. But Spicy Aggies, thank you very much for your super chat there. There's another one here, and we mentioned it, Ian, that Vix has asked for a 199 super chat. Hashtag Butland for captain. I don't think many people would be disagreeing with that right now with the way that he's actually kept us in it. But Butland obviously didn't have a great season last season. I'm not saying that he's not been great this season because he's kept us in a lot. But would you have Jack Butland as your captain right now, Ian, and yourself, Kenny?
Out of the players that are on that pitch right now, Butland is the only one that's actually trying to do anything in the way of leading, from his press conference reaction the other day to certain things like that. But I am a goalkeeper myself, but I am not fans of goalkeepers being captains because I think you need that voice on the pitch, someone who can get around the pitch and do stuff. So whether you have Butland as the actual team captain to do the talking off the pitch and then have a on-pitch captain around, then they could do it that way. But if you're going to do that, who's your choice at the moment? There's nobody there that you'd give it to. So Butland would be the only logical choice. We don't know whether Danny Rowe is going to keep Tav as captain because he's only just in the door and he hasn't got his own players in. But something needs to be done because that it's leaderless, rudderless, and all sorts on that pitch. And there's no voice. We all thought Raskin was the one to do it because when he had the captain's armband when Tav was out last season, it all looked good, but he doesn't even look like half the player he was last season at this point either. So at the moment, he is the only captain. But again, it's the goalkeeper. Do goalkeepers make good captains? It's difficult.
Kenny, I want to bring this point to you, but Vix, thank you very much for that super chat. There's two comments, and they're both saying pretty much the same thing, and I want to bring these up. So David Barr says, we lost the goals of Dessers, Czerny and Egeman, and we signed Chimity and Antman. There lies one of our many problems. And that's followed up with saying that not signing Czerny, who scored 18 and set up 8 goals, not replacing Egeman with 16 and 3 assists last year, and not replacing Dessers with 29 goals and 7 assists. Thelwell recruitment is utter pish. And it shows, doesn't it? Because we've got no goals right now in this team. In 3 games in Europa League, we've scored 1 goal. We've done nothing. I think we're still in a minus goal difference in the league as well. We have got right now no out and out goal scorers, Kenny.
Mm-hmm. So I love comments like that. That's a great point, that below me there. I love it because the numbers do not lie. I've always been a big believer and always scream on this podcast that a good and great Rangers team score from everywhere in the park. You don't just rely on your strikers, because if you score from many angles, left, right, centre, headers, which is an anomaly, your striker inadvertently starts scoring a lot of goals because he's in and out of those mop-up moments when the midfield's hitting from 20 yards, the wingers are coming in like Czerny and scoring 18 goals, Igaman's mopping up foot side of the box are in, Dessers is doing his 60-odd goals for a couple of seasons. He's absolutely right, mate. None of us can argue with that. The recruitment has been boss. Now, again, let's get back to I'm sure it was a European game. It was Hutton and Ali and that. Remember, they were all talking, and Ali's face when they mentioned Chermitty's deal. And he knows more about Rangers than I'll probably ever know. You know, he's in the club, he's bled in the club, and he was baffled by it all. The full economics of the thing, boys, not just the player, but the economics behind the reasoning and all that. And the guy that's just put the comment up it's a phenomenon, because that's exactly it in a nutshell. You've got players that don't know what they're doing, they're lost, they're no attacking. I mean, Ant-Man, until just the new, when Rolls just tried to maybe set him up there, has been cutting in and cutting in and cutting in. Gassama looks like a different player. Again, cut home, mate, thanks very much. That's the very one. So, yeah, top point. I like the fact you threw in the figures as well, just because it shows you the enormity of the problem that we've got right now, and that all dangles round the neck of Thelwell, right round there, because your snobbery and your stupidity and your inexperience or your lack of due diligence in our bloody league and our bloody club has made you go out and do what you thought you wanted to do, rather than just going for it.
Sorry, Kenny, I had to bring that up. Like, your connection's crap, it's not, so I had to bring that comment up.
Sorry. I've told them what to come up. He's doing my way, man. Sorry, guys. Do
you know what we'll do? While Kenny's internet's having a bit of a meeting, Danny Roll has been speaking to the press after, so we go to Danny Roll and we'll hear exactly what he had to say.
And you can do that as long as you're doing it, because you know what happens if I do it? Nothing happens.
It's all right, mate. I'll get it. Don't you worry. So
I'm back now.
You're back now, mate. We're going to go to Danny Roll anyway, so we'll listen to Danny Roll, see what he has to say.
Danny, a difficult night tonight. How do you reflect on that game?
Yeah, I think we have high standards in Rangers, and I think today we were not on point there. You see exactly where we are at the moment. I think that game gives me a lot of information. My job is now to find as soon as possible solutions. I have to develop and improve the players. I have to develop and improve the group. And this is what I have to do. This is my job. We faced today a team who were organized, aggressive, did the basics right, and we didn't. But my job tomorrow is lift them again, give them solutions, and be ready on Sunday.
The goals lost tonight too, the manner of some of them, how frustrating was that for you?
Yeah, I think after 3-0 we can speak about the conceded goals, but I think we have to speak about the full performance of the team, and it was not good enough today. I take this. I think everybody was hoping that we have this start when Emma arrived, but in football you can wish something, but it's reality, and for this I have to work hard with my group, with my players, but I'm totally convinced we can make the turnaround.
You mentioned picking the players back up again. How do you go about doing that in the next few days ahead of obviously Kilmarnock at the weekend?
Yeah, this is our job. I think this is where we are. We want to play football. We are involved in this business. We are part of a big club, and for this we have to understand what is the demanding. Yeah, and the demanding is winning games.
What did you learn about your team tonight?
Yeah, I learned a lot about individual profiles from players, to see them on the pitch, to see them under pressure, what they can do, what we have to improve. and this is my job now to find quick solutions.
We saw you at the end go over to the supporters. What was your message to them tonight?
Yeah, at first I apologized for this performance. I think this is always hard that we were so far away from Glasgow to come here, and then they see a 3-0 defeat. I think this is what nobody deserved. I apologize, but I said as well, I will try my best. I will work very hard to bring Rangers back where I have to.
I brought us back in, wouldn't it? That would have helped. But there's a couple of points there, Ian, that I want to pick up on. You know, straight away he said that his job was to develop and improve players and to lift them to be ready for Sunday. So you can already see from the way that Danny Rowe's talking, he knows he's got a job on his hand.
I think now he realises how big a job he's got on his hand. Because watching it, clips, because I know he said he'd watch clips, obviously, of old games as well, but he's obviously seen parts of the new stuff. To see it firsthand right there in front of you will open a massive, massive window, will clean up what he didn't think was there. He now must realise how big a job he's actually undertaken. So he's got a lot of work on his hands, but I like the fact that he didn't come out and say the words anxiety and all sorts of other rubbish to deflect away from what he saw. He was honest about it. He said, you know, that it just wasn't good enough, and he's got things to work on. So I like his honesty. He's not trying to bullshit us. He's not trying to flannel us with all this weird and wonderful modern coach speak that we've been used to for the past 4 months. He shouldn't really have to take responsibility for it because it's his first game. He's been in the door for 3-4 days, but big on him for doing that.
I mean, Kenny, one of the points I liked was that he said, you know, if you want to play football, then we have to show that we want to play, but we have to demand that we can win games, and that's what we have to see as a big club. We're not a small club, we're a big club. These players have to show it, and it's going to be his job to get them in the right attitude for Sunday. So you can already see that Danny Rowe is accepting, as Ian said, a lot of the responsibility, but he's not shying away from it. He knows he's got a task on his hands, and he wants to improve, but he's got a massive job to do, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Just before I say, Alex, just put your horn up if it starts glitching. I've tried to clear the cache on it so that it doesn't do it anymore. The first thing I want to see him doing is have some backbone and see how quick he changes things for players that he wants to maybe find out if they've got more metal. So bring in Curtis, bring in Rice, or if he's saying he's finding out about individual players, how do you change it up? What formation are you going to change it to? You know, all these things that they did say in the press conference, that it has to be fast. This has to happen fast. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine if he was in charge, you'll see it happening fast, what his changes is and what his formation changes is, and if he's what his reliability in certain players is, like I just said, that will come to fruition over the next couple of weeks, whether he's going to do that or not. And I hope he hasn't thrown himself under the bus, because we'll all see if he's the manager or he's no, the gaffer or no, because he'll keep playing Chermiti and all that kind of good stuff, you know, and we'll just wait and see. Unfortunately, we just need to wait and see, guys. Listen, he's more likeable than Russell, so that's one thing that we take away from today, I think.
There's a comment here that I want to bring up to yourself, Ian. So Schroeder's asking, saying that he'll go over tonight's performance with the players tomorrow and they'll call him out on what they did wrong. It's going to be a long team meeting for sure. Surely that's going to be a couple of days, because there's going to be some players that he's going to be there all day with, never mind the squad. So there's going to be a lot of calling out, but there's a lot of players in our squad that, you know, have been either neglected, not brought in, not used. So is this going to be a chance for Danny Rowe to go, right, you weren't good enough. There's somebody else sitting in the wing there that deserves a chance. They're going to get it, and you're going to have to sit out. For example, and I'm not saying this is when it's going to happen, but your shooter, you're going to have to sit out. Nsiala's going to come in and he's going to show what he's got against Kelly. Can you see that being the case when he's going to do like-for-like swaps?
I can see it being the case. I think he has to start doing it, and he has to start doing it now, because these players need to realise that if they don't play well, they are out of the team and they'll have to work to get back in. Far too many of them know that it doesn't matter how they play tonight. If it was under the previous management, that it doesn't matter how bad they play tonight, they will play on Sunday. and then they'll play the week after that and the week after that. I can just keep doing what I'm doing, pick up my wage. I don't care because I will get a game no matter what. So yeah, he kind of has to. But if he's going to do that, what Shonen suggested, then he needs to start doing it on the bus to the airport, on the plane, on the bus from the airport to Ibrox. Then again tomorrow morning when he gets in, because he's got a big job on his hand, like you said, it's going to take a while. So that starts in that changing room tonight. He starts calling them out and going, if you want to carry on playing here past January, show me that you deserve to be here. And you've got to keep doing it. And if you can't, then I will find someone who will, because we can get rid of you. You are a player. You are replaceable. I'm not willing to lose my job for you. And then go from there.
No, exactly. And Kenny, this is what I want to bring here. It's a super chat from John. John, thank you very much for that £5 super chat. He says that we need to bring in a captain in January. Not one player in the squad is a captain. It's going to be a hard thing for Danny Rowe to do, but surely there's players that he's known that he's played with, managed previously, not just Kisama, but the players that he knows that are captain material. There's one that was on that pitch tonight, and I think somebody put the comment in the watch along that Pedersen, that played for Brann, could easily come in and do a job for Tav, because he was outstanding tonight. And right back, we couldn't get past him at all. So it's going to be a massive job for Danny Rowe.
Yeah, listen, it's all relevant. We've said to the start of the top of the show that there's no commanders, and I'm a big believer in that. Every team I've watched since I've been younger, there's always been at least 2 or 3. You could go back to crazy times like Stuart McCall even. Wasn't he a captain? It was for a long time, but then he wasn't, and he took his role and he didn't take it. But they all led. Every player led, even if they didn't have an armband on, because they had this understanding of the club they were at, the formations that was getting played, the importance of playing for Rangers, the size of the club, they knew. And there's where it gets back to some of the best players in Scotland playing in the kind of in your team, because they understand the pressure they're coming into. If they do want to sign, they already know it. They've grew up with it. They've grew up with being supporters or neighbourhoods where they grew up. They know about Rangers, know about Celtic, they know about the pressures. Very relevant that in a Rangers team. It's very relevant. You've got to have an understanding of what you're doing, because everybody, as far as I see, shies away. They don't seem to be. There's no verbal morality, man. And I can't get used to it, because even when I need to tell Waynes to shush when they're going after Heed in the park, and they're so quiet, and everybody hides it once, or they go it once. And as soon as there's one mistake, everybody's looking to see who bails out who. That has to stop. So you're right. You've got to get somebody in that's a commanding presence, a bit of a cheeky chappy, got a bit of an attitude on him who's like, well, I don't care if I know you or I've just met you. You better do what I'm telling you today, because I want to win. I'm here to win. And if a manager's told us to do something and nothing works, then I'm going to take over. I'm going to see if we can try and do something. We've just not got that spine, boys, and we need to get players in like that. Again, I can't believe we're saying we need more players in already. It's crazy.
It's mental, really is. So, John, thank you very much for your super chat. There's a comment I want to come to, Ian, and yourself, Gary, if you want to jump in on this as well. William Duffy says that are we only going to call out Chimiti? Chimitti's not the only player we've called out tonight. I even called out Ant-Man. I called out Raskin. I called out Suter. I've called out a few players. So tonight's performance, the only player that actually gets pass marks on this side was Jack Butland. Ian, there was no other player that actually gets pass marks. All of them looked poor. Nobody actually looked like they were good enough to be on it. So to say we're only calling out Chimiti is fully wrong, because there's a lot of players in that. We've spoken about the captain quite a lot. Actually said that Tav wasn't good enough tonight. So to say that we're only talking about Chimiti is a bit of a weird one.
I think it's because we had a longer discussion about Chimiti, because of the fact that some of the most important parts of the game did involve him. For us, in the fact that we had that one shot on target, which was his weak header. But he's not the only one to blame out there. Like you said, Ant-Man, poor. Gassama, poor again. He spends a lot of time trying to win free kicks and diving around. He was very unlucky to get his yellow card, because I don't think it was a yellow. I don't think he touched him. And I think the Brann player should have been booked. This is where your VAR argument comes back in for things like that. But yeah, I mean, Chimiti is poor. We all know that, but he wasn't the only one out there tonight. The biggest disappointment for me this season has been Raskin. Mm-hmm. Maybe there was something to what Russell Martin was saying about Raskin. We'll never know the full ins and outs of it. He doesn't look the shadow. I mean, I've already said that on this pod tonight. He looks a shadow of the player that we had here last season. We constantly call out Tav. We have done tonight. Kenny said it. There's not a single leader on that pitch. That's believing that's calling out every single player on that pitch. So it's not about Chimiti. You take what we say and you hear what we say. Yes, we've had a go at Chimiti, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. Yes, we mentioned him by name, but we are talking about the entire team out there. So it's just, if we sit here and we go through every single player, we'll still be doing this at midnight.
We'll still be doing this when we kick off against Kilmarnock on weekend. But there's William, you've got a great point as well. Asgard was worse. Asgard was just as bad. Tonight, he looked at a completely different player that it was against Dundee United, but there's loads of players that were bad. But as Ian has said, we've not got time to call it every player. Just Chimiti's performance was highlighted because he's been spoken about so much, even in the even the build-up. They're made a point of talking about Chimiti when they spoke about spending. So couldn't get away from that. I was trying to avoid it, but Kenny, there's loads of players that we need to point out, and there's a great point here from Colin. He said, I need to ask, what's the point of having a captain? We've been leaderless for years, but the fans still don't call out Tav. Please answer. Well, we call out players when we see they're poor. Tav has been one of the biggest focal points on this channel for a while, has been a poor captain that has looked poor. Tonight, he was running rings around that attack, just seeing that Tav was the target. We're going to run around him because if you get 2 or 3 near him, he couldn't track each of them, so he didn't know who to go for, and then they scored from it.
So there's a point come up there. It kind of amalgamates everything you're saying, plus this situation what we're talking about. And it was I'm sure it was one of the lassies on here had said, that's the reason I'm starting to think, is there a bit of a break-up in the dressing room between players? They don't seem to talk to one another. Is there a kind of crack up there? And there's maybe wee cliques, and I know that Russell Martin tried to take them away and go to Loch Lomond and all that, and the water kind of dipping and stuff. Is that because there is a separation in there? Now, the good Rangers, no so long ago, good teams and stuff like that, there was 4 or 5 leaders on the park, as I said previously, without a captain's armband that would reinforce the captain's message. So the captain had a nucleus and probably, let's say, a more higher percentage of people singing off the same hymn sheet. So if you got the odd strop, right, so say Raskin is doing things like that, as Hamish says, if there is a kind of strop attitude, 1 or 2 of the players like, I no bother, mate, as if I'm not trying. Again, they kind of throw your hands up in the air and kick your grass scenarios. You always had 3, 4, 5 players running there and getting in their face and saying, what's wrong with you? And they would then be embarrassed to go, oh, wait a minute, and they would maybe get an extra 20, 30% out of them. Every single player on there leaves each another to go on with the mess they made. And if it's 3 mistakes, 4 mistakes, schoolboy errors, there's nobody on top of each other collectively saying, what is your effing problem? What is going on here? And pushing them and going, come on, get your head out your arse. You don't see any camaraderie. Again, Commanders and Rangers teams of old always had a nucleus of the one message getting forced. I think there's players in there that's just not quite up to standard on the enormity of playing for a club with this. Alan McCoy said that nearly every interview he played on, you've got to know what you're walking into this club to handle the pressure of what this club brings. And if you can do that, this club will love you. These fans will love you. You'll lift your game to another level. I just don't think we've got the clientele collectively throughout the team of commanders, leaders and inspirational kind of players that can do it consistently, guys, and it's a worry.
No, we really don't. And there's a super chat here from Jay Rallen that sums up probably how we're all feeling. I'll be watching A United or Auckland Talbot next season. This pantomime is ruining my weekend for the last 12 years now.
Won the medal.
As you can see, Kenny doesn't agree with you, but Jay Rallen, thank you very much for that super chat. JRL, but it's true though. Like the fans have just got to keep watching this, don't they? And there's just been, since we won the 55, we've just not had anything to cheer on, and it's been so poor after poor. But thank you very much for your super chat. But Ian, where does Danny Rowe go with this team for the weekend? What does he do to try and even get some of his tactics, his mindset, mentality, whatever, into these players come the weekend? Because after watching tonight, we can see that formation doesn't work. These players cannot play this 4-2-3-1. We had four players up top, and we were just pumping it long, play to their feet, and yet we just seen none of that. We still played this high line when Danny Rowe said that wasn't going to happen. So Are these players just unable to be coached? Or is it just that right now they just want to say, we'll play our game our way until we have to play your game?
Ooh, so this one was where I'd put Martin's head in his hands, because I will say I think you'll find it's a little bit of both in that sense. They've got this new guy coming in, but they are so beaten down with the Russell Martin tactics of the high line and play this way, safety. They can't get out of that mindset right now. And Kenny said it earlier on that it's going to take a little bit of time to get them out of that. But the more you go at it and the more you see it, some of these players are proving that they can't be coached, because some of them are on their third or fourth manager at the club and they aren't changing. And I bring the captain into that as well. There's things that Tav has done for this club that I'll always be thankful for, but he's ruining the little legacy that he had. He hasn't got a big legacy at Ibrox, but whatever legacy he has had is slowly being diminished by him still being part of the week in, week out playing squad. He could be a squad player and just see out this final bit and then leave in the summer, which I think he should do. But the only problem with that is the only replacement at the moment you've got who's fit is Max Aarons, who has not set the heather alight by any stretch of the imagination. So quickly, Dujon, please come back. So there's an argument to be made for both. But I think, again, this comes down tonight solely on the players. It was like, can you just get your head out your arse and play football? Because this wouldn't be accepted. Stevie Smith wouldn't accept this in his under-19s team, so I don't know why any manager should accept it in the first team squad. Yep. It's just not the way it should be done. Like Kenny, I coach Littlands. I'm not sure what age group Kenny coaches, but mine's are under 10s, and we don't let them do that. They don't get to put their head down and not play. We keep going at them. I've told them before they've won. They lost a load of games. Like when we first started, I don't think they won in the first 12, and we should probably have been sacked. But I was like, remember this feeling, because when you actually win a game, I want you to remember how this feels, because then you can appreciate your wins and know that you don't want to go back to this feeling. And it worked, and we went on a 16-game run where we didn't lose a game. So I could do that to under 10s. Why can't professional footballers who are getting paid an absolute fortune just go out and play with a little bit of pride? That's all we want them to do, play with pride, and we're not even seeing that.
Yep.
We really aren't, and there's two super chats that sum that up perfectly. There's one here from Gringo. Gringo, thank you very much. You know, we need a coach who's going to kick ass. Hopefully we're going to see that from Danny Roll in the coming days, but this one backs up your point completely, Kenny and Ian. You know, true leaders don't need a band around their arm, and they don't, but yet we're not seeing that from many of them. We were told that we've got a leadership group, Kenny. Right now, there's not one in that squad that you could say is part of a leadership group or even showing any leadership qualities, because it seems like, well, I'm here, I'll do my job, but I don't care about who else is around me. As long as I can sort of do what I need to do, then it doesn't matter. We're not playing as a team. We've not got any sort of mentality. You in 94, thank you very much for your super chat. But the point I was going to make was what Geordie's asked, is where do we go from here? Kenny?
Oof, thanks for that, Geordie. Aye, you know what I mean? I honestly think, or I thought, it would take a long time. No, I mean, see, sitting at a press conference and saying in front of Danny Rowe, he knows he has to do it quick. Wait a minute. You're an American owner, you know nothing about football, right? Thelwell knows nothing about football, clearly. He left us with one bloody left back. That's how good he is. It'll take a bit of time to get these players into the mentality and mindset. It'll take a few weeks. But again, the only reason we're all worried, I'll answer Geordie, is because we've been here 100 times. It's so annoyingly similar that we've blamed how many managers and paid them off. And now we're starting to see that. So I don't think the recruitment was as good as it should have been. I think that you've got to look closer to home in your own league to win your own league. And then you build for there in Europe and all the rest of it and amalgamate it. I mean, somebody put it up, the Glenn Kamara scenario. You know, there's wee gems there that could easily do a job and a step up. And I don't know where we go for here. I'm hoping, and I'm really hoping that Danny Rowe gets in their heads and he's done it a lot of clubs where he takes a lot of the pressure from the fans, the board, the outside noise, and places it on his own lap and sieves it to the players and takes it away. So I'm not really sure what's going on at the moment. Some of these players are annoying me, and I'm going to go back to the point that came up before Geordie's was there's no commanders running about that park without the armband. There's no fighting. There's no screaming and fighting in the dressing room where the manager needs to split them up, and then the manager comes out and says, "That's what I want him to do." They care. It's like brand new, man. We'll go down and we'll get an Andos later on. Just forget about it, and we'll go on with it. We can't have that attitude at Rangers. You can't have that attitude. You've got to be tearing each other's heads off. You've got to be up for every game. You've got to be winning every game. You've got to have every player arguing with one another if it's not going well and sorting the mess out on the part themselves. Take the direction of the manager, but the manager's not running about with ease. He's not holding horns with ease. He can't go from right wing to left wing to defender to goalkeeper and start whispering in your ear and handing you 40 different notes. You've got to be a mindset of a captain without the armband all over the park. You're demanded. It's elite football, boys. It's elite. It's not just even junior football players are chasing balls that are going nowhere in their part-time. I mean, I've watched enough junior football to watch some of the games where they absolutely run about crazy and they chase lost balls and they're in each other's faces. And if somebody even thinks about no chasing a ball out of possession, half the team's balling at them. We need to get back to that. That's where we need to get back to. I don't know how we get back to it, but we need to get back to it.
I mean, Kerry, it's well said. 100% well said. I know the comments agree with it. It's well said that we need to get back to a point where we are a team, we're a squad, we're a mentality rather than we're individuals, because we can't get away from that. But I don't know. There's a great point here. Ian from Jackson Boat says quality is one issue, strong mentality is another. Right now we have neither. We can see that though a mile away. And Danny Rowe was kind of hinting to that tonight. He says that we need to obviously develop and improve these players. Some of these players have been here for 3, 4, 5 seasons and still they're still needing developed, still needing improved the mentality. Why are we still in this position? I know Danny Rowe's not going to fix it overnight, but why are we still in this position where are these players going to just, there was a comment, I thought it was great, are they going to down tools when Danny Rowe starts shouting at them? And that way they can get him sacked? Because we've seen it time and time again with other managers. It just seems to be that these players are dictating who they want in. They want a manager that will just let them do what they want. And Danny Rowe doesn't seem like the manager that's going to do it for them, or the head coach.
Well, they've done that with the previous Michael Beale, Clement, to a point. They played for him and then they decided they didn't want to anymore. They stopped down tools. And then Russell Martin after that as well. Regardless of what you think of Russell Martin, the players stopped playing. You could see that. They stopped playing because they knew that if they did that, he's gone. And they'll do it. The same players will keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that's why you say at some point you've got to stop looking at the manager and look at the players and go, right, what's the problem? Who's the problem? Who wants to be here? Who's here because they get paid handsomely for being here? Great Wall of Canada put it in there. Money has ruined football. I can't watch the EPL or things like that anymore. I can't. I don't remember the last time I watched a Champions League game because they all get paid so much. Prima donnas, perfect pitches. If anything's not quite right, they scream, shout, and moan and want to leave. I'd much prefer the lower leagues in England watching football because it's still real football. So a lot of the players that are in there, they get paid. They don't care. They simply don't care. They don't care about the club. The club are going to pay them money, and they're just going to be here and turn up week in, week out because they know they will. Because who's going to replace me? And I think some of that is that it's just players don't care anymore, and you've lost that. I mean, me and Kenny, and maybe to a point yourself, we're lucky enough to watch teams that had that played for that badge. I mean, you mentioned a couple of more Kenny earlier on, Kenny, but that Rangers team in the 90s, Gorham, Gough, Brown, Robertson, McCall, Ian Ferguson, Ali McCoist. They had to run through brick walls for every single supporter, not just the club, every single supporter. And that's vanished from football. They just don't care anymore.
They really don't. And there's a couple of super chats I want to get to. There's a super sticker here from Andrew. Andrew, thank you very much, mate. Everybody on YouTube will see that super sticker. And also a super chat here for Mark. Mark, make sure to get a message in next time, buddy, and we'll get that read out. You can put a message in with your super chat, so thank you very much. But it brings us to the point of, well, where do we go next? Kenny, because we've obviously got Kelly on Sunday, and it's obviously going to be the first home game for Danny Rowe. Is he going to get a reception from the fans, or are they going to give him a wee bit of a pass for tonight because he didn't have much control of this game, only having one training session?
I think there's more emphasis getting put onto the players now, Alex. I think it's not so much Danny Rowe, because the proof's in the pudding. The guys in the door ours, and there's the same mentality issues. And I can't believe I used that word, because obviously Big Vegan Boy used it constantly. So is there something in that? So when you watch Clement, Gio, look at some of the interviews which I've done, and that word keeps creeping in. So what, they all wrong? So I think the mentality issue is definitely down in tools, Ian, bang on. Some of the names you read out there, mate, gave me goosebumps. When was the last time a Rangers team gave you goosebumps? Probably Steven Gerrard title winning. So yeah, I think, listen, players care, all right, they do care, but life's too easy for them. They've got to be a certain breed of person to always want to win. Your Roy Keanes and things like that, you know what I mean, who wins trebles but still went out there and try to take the jaw off you. When Beckham went through all that carry on with the Argentinian, Simeone going down, Keane was the one that would leather through players just to make sure they knew if they come to Old Trafford, you're not getting a go at Beckham. All this kind of unity, right? This unity, but by direction, leading by example, showing the fans what you're all about, getting a nucleus of players to buy into you as a player or a captain, know the gaffer, and you show everybody that if you piss about in my team, us 5 or 6 will be on your neck. So don't even get 10 minutes with standing with your horns and your kneecaps, or I'll be the one that's telling you off. We have not got that nucleus of commanders everywhere that have got one simple message, and you'll always get the hands through up with a player or emotional and all that carry on. But they're all doing it. They all get away with it, and they go hiding, and nobody's there to collectively come together in that wee clique to say, you're at Glasgow Rangers, mate. What's wrong with you? I see you bent your leg again, mate. You're going to take my toe right up your arse. Things like that. You've not got any player that's willing to attack another player and show them, but they've got to do it for 4 and 5 different angles, right up the spine of the team. Can you imagine a player giving up and Bomber Brown standing there? Or any, come on. There's stories about Masunis. He gets signed because he was taking the legs off Souness, right? They kind of players, they are out there, right? Your Lyle Cameron, run through a wall for you. He would. Needs the right direction, but those type of nucleus of players, I'm sick saying it, Shankland, you could have got defenders for Scottish League in there. League 1 in England, probably. Really hard-working, determined wee guys that will run right through the water, yeah. But we missed all these good names, didn't we? Your Whitakers and the wee guy that went to Middlesbrough and ends he's gone to Premier League, and all these different players, we missed them, and we buy the diddies that are floating about, not really doing much, and then they come here, but they'll do a turn in Scotland, and it's never happening, and they all hide together. And that's why I'm not saying, listen, Tavernier, I'm quite happy with that. I think Tavernier's done us a right good turn, but unfortunately, he's not got that full backing of 5-6 players that are all after one unit, that are going to go after the players if they're going to be no doing what they should be doing, giving the extra 20, 30, 40%. That's where we should be going. And I love the fact when Ali said, when there's one major consideration when you're hiring a player for Rangers Football Club, is that player better damn sure know everything about Rangers Football Club, or they'll misjudge it, and they'll come in and they'll shrink. And that's what we've got. We've got people that are shrinking, boys.
We've definitely got the shrinking players today, and this is a great point from you and 94. Thank you very much for that super chat. And the no new manager bounce speaks volumes, because none of these players look bothered tonight. And I mean, you talk about Tav, and Tav's probably a good one to talk about. He's been a great servant to the club, but there's a point where you've got to recognise, Ian, when the game's left you, and step aside. Tav's just not doing that. He's saying, well, this is my spot, and nobody's taking it off me. He's obviously getting to the point where he needs to move on, but you can see it tonight. He's not got it. He's not got the legs. The amount of crosses and the balls he put in, they were just flying over. They were just going out for a throw and going out for a goal kick. The standards of Tav have fully dropped, and He's just not a player that we need to rely on, and we can't rely on him because he's not showing that he's got it anymore.
No, I mean, I put a comment in the watch along at one point saying Tav is just pumping that ball up into the air like it's Sunday League. There's no direction to it. He's just putting it as high and as far up as he can because then it's at least away from him. I think he wasn't the only one. Again, I saw Raskin put a cross-field ball into absolutely no one and then blamed everyone else for not being stood where he was going to play the ball. So, Tav's not alone. There are players out there who are just not putting the work in. But you're right, Tav has got to that point now, and I've been one of Tav's biggest defenders. You go back on various pods, me and Lewis together have defended Tav to the hilt on here, but there just comes a time that it doesn't matter how good they are, and no matter if they're your favourite player or not, it comes to them all that the football leaves them behind because they can't keep up with it anymore. And Tav's there. Tav's in that position. Yeah, he can still be in and around the squad for whatever leadership qualities he does have off the field because they're well documented that he's one of the voices off the pitch and he's the one that the players can go to, etc. So he can still be in and around the team for that, but become a squad player, fill the gaps, warm the bench, and be there on match days for that, and then come in when you needed. The lesser cup games, for example, or injuries cause you to have to come back, which is generally the case at the moment with Tav. Generally, his injuries, he keeps getting back in. We had two quality right backs in the team last year who both ended up with pretty much season-ending injuries, so Tav had to play the majority of the games. This year, we've brought in a right back who is not even at Tav's quality by the looks of it. Not that he's shown us yet, anyway. So Tav has to play again. So there's no one really there to put in his position, which is unfortunate for him. And I think he's a victim of that issue. So either you've got to bite the bullet and give Aarons another run at it, or we stick with Tav. And I think at the moment, to protect Tav, I think you've got to give Aarons another run. Unfortunately,
it's not a good indication when Ian said we have to give Max Aarons another shot, but. What's the alternative? We go to a back three and we leak even more goals because then you need to play somebody as a wing back, and we've not really got even the option to do that because are we going to be asking Gassama to be a defender? Are we going to be asking Mikey Moore to be a defender? We've not really got the options to even change it, Kenny. All we can really do is, as Ian said, is go for Max Aarons. But even then, as you said earlier on, January is going to be so much more important, and we're only in October.
Yeah, and there's been a few comments, and because they're coming thick and fast, I sort of scribbling down. Hamish, I wasn't being ignorant. It was just I was hearing you, but I was still, and it was Alexa Simon Murray. What a player that would! Even one season here, he'd tear the face off you to get a goal. The boy, the right winger, the Australian right winger for Hibernian, I keep shouting about. I know he'd tear you to shreds. We went, as somebody cleverly said there as well, Casemiro. Why did we know? I know he was injured, right? I get it. But why are they going straight back in there? The guy was a Rolls Royce, man. He played left back, centre back, right back, and he looked comfortable everywhere he played.
And he was that good that he got injured and he came back into the team at the tail end of last season.
So
exactly.
So there we go. That's where it becomes a club problem.
You've got Martin Boyle, you've got Kieran Bowie, you've got Lawrence Shankland, Simon Murray, you've got Braga that plays for Hearts. There's so many strikers in our league that would 100% do a job, and we've gone Chermity. There's players everywhere. We've got David Watson that we're looking at as well.
Watson at Kilmarnock. So you could pick a full team, midfield, defence, right, left back, strikers, and they would come in. And if you get the right manager, you've got a squad of hard working guys that know what it's like to play, or watched from the league how it is to play for Rangers. If you're Scottish, you play in the Scottish League for 2 seasons, and the Rangers come to buy you, you know you're up against, you've played against them, you've seen the crowd, you've seen the animosity, you've seen the pressure, you maybe grew up supporting one of them. That's what the difference is, where the mentality is lost. There was English players in the Rangers team in the 90s, but the majority of them were all ended up supporters of the club because they were just, the money definitely ruined it, because they all knew what it was like to fight, because nobody had, let's say, the kind of pansy players that, that's all right, I earned 30 grand on Friday, it doesn't matter anyway. You didn't have that. Everybody wanted to win. You just wanted to win. It didn't matter how you won, you won. And the players we've just mentioned there, and I like that comment, somebody just put up the amount of players that was in this actual this league that is phenomenal and could make the step up. Again, snobbery for Thelwell. You're shocking, mate. I hope you end up listening to this. You are a shocker, because Kamara is the biggest show that there's players there that can make you your player model that you want here, right here, that you could take a season or two and sell them for a fair bit of money down in England. Rangers have been years and players and under good recruitment from their own league and sell them down there. I mean, they get 25 million for Tierney. The guy's only got 2 left toes. Okay, I mean, it's staggering how we've let this fester and allowed another person to come in and decide that he's a sport director but knows more about football than a coach or a manager. Really? So yeah, I think we need to look more in-house, guys. I think we need to look really hard-working terrier of players who are in our own league. I'm a firm believer, unless you get 3 or 4 players for your own league in your team, you struggle to win that league.
I'll tell you one other thing. All those names you mentioned, Kenny, do you know what? You could have probably got most of them, if not all of them, for 8 million quid, rising to 10.
There's a point, Hamish. There's a point. Yeah, enough said.
Definitely. And as Kenny just said there, enough said. So we are going to leave it there tonight, folks. If you would like to become a member of the Rabble, you can either join by just hitting that subscribe button on YouTube. Give us a like for tonight's show. But if you want to become a member, you can become a member for as little as $1.99 a month. There is so much content that we do here on the Rabble, whether it be your 2K25 that Ian hosts every 2 weeks, and then you get your Rabble Wrestling as well. You get the watch-alongs and you get a load more content. So if you want to become a member, do hit that member button. I will say that Martin will be back tomorrow with the afternoon Rabble, 12:30 tomorrow afternoon, so join us then. We have plenty more content coming up as we dissect more of this Europa League shocker from Rangers tonight, and we will see where we go from there. But Kenny, Ian, thank you very much, lads, for joining me tonight. And everybody in the comments, go enjoy the rest of your Thursday night, and hopefully it's not a bad one. But until next time, we'll see you all again very, very soon.